Hello, it is Wednesday. It's the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show. It's my favorite part of the week. I love coming and doing this show every single week. I hope you guys are well this week. Wherever you're joining me from, do say hello. If you're joining us for the first time, then welcome to the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show. This is a show that I run every single week where you get to get inspiration, you get motivation. We talk about really interesting topics that relate to us as healthcare professionals. And today's show is no different to any other. If I haven't introduced myself, let me introduce myself now. My name is Kamal. I am a former national level pharmacist turned pharmacy career change coach. I'm also a holistic pharmacist and also the founder of an organic supplement brand called Amala Pure Health. I'm really passionate about pharmacists reinventing their careers so that they create more freedom, they create more flexibility and more fulfillment in their careers. So in today's session, we are going to be talking about wellness. I mean, it's the topic that's literally been at the forefront of our minds probably this entire year during the pandemic. Hi, Bally, nice to have you. Do say hi in the comments if you are joining us live. And so going back to the topic, we are talking wellness for healthcare professionals. And I've got an amazing couple joining us today, Anisha and Sanjay. And they are the hosts of the Pharmacist Diaries Podcast. And also, I have to remind myself of this show every single time. It's Stay Whole Life, which is brilliant. So I'm going to pop them onto the screen so they can say hello to us. Let me just come out of here and add you to the screen, guys. Hello.
Hey, Kamal. How you doing?
Hello.
Good. How are you guys?
We're fine, thanks. How are you?
Very, very well. So for those of you guys who are watching, who are probably thinking, well, who are Sanjay and Anisha? Sanjay is a former, well, you're a former headhunter, aren't you? Turned health coach. And Anisha is, and I mean, her pharmacist story is amazing, to be honest. So she can tell you about that in a minute. But she is a senior paediatric pharmacist at the Evelina in London. And she's also a senior lecturer as well at King's College. And there's like lots of connections between us. But I will hand the fort over to you guys and get you guys to introduce yourselves to us and tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your journeys.
You can go first if you like.
Ladies first, always.
So annoying. Well, hey everybody, I'm Anisha. Thanks for the introduction, Kamal. She's right. At the moment, I'm working at the Evelina as a pediatric pharmacist, specializing in palliative care and also kind of managing the Evelina formulary alongside a whole team of people. And on the side of working, I am a mum of a 3-year-old and I have created the Pharmacist Diaries podcast. So I've been a pharmacist for about 10 years now, so still kind of baby pharmacist, still got a long way to go. Constantly learning, constantly kind of enjoying what I'm doing and learning on the job, which I love. And I share all of that on the podcast most weeks.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, I'm Sanjay. So currently I'm a health coach on the NHS Diabetes Prevention Programme. So that's my day job at the moment. I also am the host of my own podcast called Stay Whole Podcast, which I also, it's just a hobby, a passion, just similar to what Kamal's doing, I guess, just following something that I really enjoy doing. Before that, I've been a personal trainer, I've been a Pilates instructor, and then all of that started way before. And as Kamal mentioned, I used to work in the city of London and had a proper job, as I call it. I laugh about it. But yeah, so I was a headhunter in the city for 10 years and decided to go and pursue my true passion, my true calling, if you like, and that's what I'm doing now.
Amazing. I love the fact that you're an example of someone who's reinvented their careers.
Yeah, I mean, it never, you would never plan. And I guess if you ask anybody who's been on the journey, which we all have, but you never plan it to go the way it does. And I never foresaw when I decided, at 18, oh, you know what? I don't want to go to university. I want to go and earn lots of money. And someone dangled a fancy job in front of me and I took it. And that was I kind of feel like it was meant to be, because I went on this journey to discover what I didn't like. And it's almost when you do something you don't like, or you don't like is a weak word. When you're not passionate about it, you kind of discover what you are passionate about. So I think 10, 15 years of working since, look, and I always say this, I wouldn't change it. I think the experiences, the people I met, the probably pivotal moments in that career that made me look towards what I'm doing now. So it definitely defined who I was, but it was a great journey. And yeah, through that I discovered that, hey, do you know what? The corporate life isn't for me. It wasn't for, and again, at 18, you think it's all about money, right? I want to go out and earn money. What more is there than money? Buy a house, get a car, have a bank account. And I had all that. The wife and the kids, of course, yes. It wasn't on the plan at 18. Come on, anyone at 18 out there, don't be thinking about having a kid or a wife right now. You got plenty of time. I sound like a real old man now. But I didn't know. Yeah, so I pursued the career, pursued the money, got the car, got the house, and it just wasn't. Something was missing, and I think that's what led me on the journey of health and wellness, and something. And again, I went through my own transformation in this, and as again we all have. But I struggled with my weight, I struggled with my appearance. It's something that is spoken about now, but I think I suffered from before in that, having that perception of what a male should look like, what a male should behave like. So I had all of that. So I went through my own journey of discovery there. I lost lots of weight, I became fit, and that's what drew me towards wanting to help people who are going through the same struggles. And I think I've landed nicely on my feet now with what I do with the diabetes prevention program. So yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, but I think at every junction, at every turn, there's been a learning opportunity. And I think that's for me, one thing I always try to say is don't have any regrets. Do what you feel like you want to. If you ask the 18-year-old Sanjay, he wouldn't change anything, right? He still wants the money, no matter what you tell him, no matter how much wisdom you have as an older person. You ain't going to listen, right? You know what you know. And when you're stubborn like me and many 18-year-olds, you're just going to do what you want to do. So I think just follow your passions. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. But just learn from that, and then maybe take the steps in the right direction when you know where to go.
Mm. Yeah. And I think if you don't know what your passions are yet, it's just having an open mind as to what you can do. And I feel like I've discovered that maybe in a hard way, because I followed a very traditional hospital route, pre-reg in hospital, undertook the 3-year residency program at Oxford, and then I intended on transitioning to a band 7 to a band 8 and working my way up the chain, as do many pharmacists, without even thinking 2 thoughts about what other people are doing outside of the hospital world. And I was so naive. And I wish I had known so much more back then, but it's fine. And obviously my pathway changed because I met Sanj, because I moved out to Dubai and discovered international pharmacy, and then my whole world turned upside down, and I was exposed to a completely new environment and a new aspect of pharmacy, like working in another country. So yeah, I think if you don't know what your passions are, and it took me 10 years to sort of find mine, and I think I found mine though. I feel I really have found it now.
Yeah, but it takes that time, doesn't it? So it took me 15 years to discover, until I realized.
But don't be hard on yourself if you haven't discovered your passions yet, but just have that open mindset within pharmacy, because you've got so many options available, that just, play it by ear and see what happens, and just make connections with people so that you can identify exactly what pathways you want to go down. You listen to my podcast too.
I love your podcast. I would say that because I have been a guest on it.
Twice in fact. Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk about this idea of wellness with us as healthcare professionals, right? Because I think a lot of times we get into this place of, well, this is my job and this is what I've got to do. And we put other people first, right? It's a natural instinct for us to do that. But tell us a little bit about, for you, Anisha, going through that journey of having that experience of you thought you knew what you wanted to do, and then moving to Dubai, right? And going to a place where you knew no one, you had no clue what pharmacy was like. How did that experience kind of change you in terms of your own wellness?
I had no fear when I was 20 or 25. How old was I? No, I was much older.
Much older than
that. Quite a lot older, actually. 27, 8 years old, actually. Yeah, when I moved out to Dubai. But I had no fear. I was not nervous in any way, shape, or form to go into a new environment, because the residency gave me that grounding and confidence I needed as a pharmacist in the job that I know how to do. As a clinical pharmacist in a hospital, I felt like I was at the top of my game. I was really, really confident and happy. So changing countries was not an issue for me. I'm quite adaptable. Like, my parents moved me to America when I was 15, and I lived there for 8-9 years, and then moved back to the UK. So I was quite amenable to and flexible to that change. But when I met Sanj, I was still quite active. I climbed Kilimanjaro the year that we first met. I then, because I love hiking, and then I did the Annapurna circuit, and I was doing a lot of body pump classes and kind of yoga and things like that. But I didn't realize at that point how much of an impact the physical activity, the food, and kind of your mindset really impact you at work. I've only kind of recently discovered the true impact of what kind of difference it makes in the last couple of years, I'd say. But when I went there, I was also traveling like an hour and a half driving from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, which is about 100 miles each way. And that's a normal commute for most people who do that. I was doing that every day for a very long time, and I got really bad back pain from the car. And I suffered, like, weekends, I would be bedridden. Do you remember? So bad. And I was still exercising. I was still running. I was still doing sprints because we live right next to a track on the Palm in Dubai. So we had the luxury of literally having a walking track or running track below our apartment. So I was still exercising. We were still eating super healthy. We were going to the gym together on the weekends, like for 2-3 hours on Saturdays or Fridays. We'd always
the joys of not having children.
Yeah, we used to go to the
Yes,
gym for like 3 hours with all of the kind of like friends in our community, and then go out for a really good lunch together, kind of thing. But because I had so much back pain, I was working really hard. I was really tired from this drive, that I knew I was doing the right things, but it wasn't really making a difference. We ended up then moving to Abu Dhabi for me, and then poor Sanjay had to do the drive in the opposite direction. So life became a little bit easier. And when I worked for Cleveland Clinic, luckily they had a gym on site. Everything was free, like classes. It was completely accessible within the building. So I continued with kind of wellness, eating really well. We always ate really well. And even during my pregnancy, I was super healthy. I really, really cared about nutrition and making sure that, I did my best to ensure that my, unborn child was going to be as healthy as possible. But when we moved back to the UK, I can't really pin it down, but I started realizing the impact of early nights, even though we were having an early bedtime in the UAE, but going to bed on time, kind of cutting down on screen time in the evenings, doing more reading rather than watching TV, waking up really early in the morning to do yoga, which I've always kind of done, but 5 a.m. starts and doing an hour of yoga. I've been doing that for quite a few years. But reading books really kind of recently, like Atomic Habits, really kind of changed me in terms of my mindset. And that kind of sparked a lot of wellness changes for us, and it continues to this day. I don't know if you have any other kind of elements to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, from a career perspective, for me, you mentioned the benefits of being active whilst you were working. I think for me, and I think back to my recruitment career when I was working in the city, I often sit back and reflect on that time, and I think towards the end, I really didn't like. I didn't. I had that, that dreaded Sunday blues or Monday blues, whatever you call it. It was Sunday blues, there wasn't it? Because Sunday was the first day of the week. But I used to have that pit in my stomach, and I think back and I think, why did that happen? Because when I first started working, it was fine. And I think what I look at the constant that I had in my career when I was in recruitment, and it was exercise. Right. I've always, even way before I was a personal trainer, way before I even thought about becoming a personal trainer, exercise has always been a really fundamental part of my life because it helped me through this transition from, round fat kid to someone that wasn't overweight and sort of taking charge of their health. So the exercise, I think, for me at the time, and I didn't know this at the time either, the exercise was what helped with my mental health more than my physical health, because I realized at the end, when I realized that I need to make a break and a change of career, I know I was struggling. I was burnt out. I was stressed. I had, anxiety. I had all these things, which I can classically, you can recognize now. But at the time, I didn't know. But it was the exercise. It was the going to the gym, and it was the physical activity that kept my mental state helping me to get through it. So for me, it was kind of that made me realize the importance then, exactly as you said, that, hey, do you know what? It's only been years later that I've realized that it was the exercise. It's big. Imagine what it'd been like if I hadn't been working out, because and we've experienced that a little bit the last year, right? Since I haven't been to a gym. I haven't seen the inside of a gym for over 12 months now, which is it's crazy for me to even think that. But and I did look. We all did. We all slipped into a bit of a routine where we weren't as active, and I wasn't going to the gym.
It's a different type of activity, though, is what we
but I noticed the difference, right? I noticed the difference of not doing it, and I was like, wow, I feel different. What's going on? I was like, you know what? Hey, I'm not doing what I was doing before, and that's when we started off with that, waking up in the morning and doing our exercise, doing our little HIIT workouts, and I think that. Because once you've experienced it and you've witnessed the benefits of it, and you see it taken away because of something like COVID, although it's not really taken away, but we perceive it's taken away, then you realize that how much of a benefit it has. And I think also, the food part of it, like you said, we've always maintained a healthy diet. We've enjoyed our food. We enjoy to go out and eat out, but it's what you do most of the time. And I think this is what I always say to my patients. Your health is a reflection of what you do most of the time, not what you do some of the time. So I think if we can we made sure that most of the time everything we're checking the boxes, and we still allowed ourselves to enjoy ourselves. So I came about it in a different way. And now for me, in the job that I do now, I think the mental health side, when I talk about, because when I was a personal trainer and I was talking about physical activity and getting strong, getting fit, it was more of the superficial things. It was, hey, you can run faster, hey, you can look great, and I was in Dubai as a personal trainer. Hey, you can look good on the beach. It was those were the aims of, do this so you can get all of that. Now it's, hey, you feel less stressed, and have better feel-good hormones flowing around your body, and just be able to cope with the stresses of the day, get through COVID, and all of these other mental health benefits that we know physical activity and other wellness practices like mindfulness and things we'll talk about. But it's now promoting those, and I think. And I guess it comes with aging, right? As you get older, your values change. What matters to you changes. Looking good on the beach doesn't matter to me as much anymore because I don't live near the beach. So, hey, it doesn't matter. But it's the getting through lockdown and coping with the stress and coping with, schools closing and all of those things. I think that's what's been for us a big, big pillar to help us get through this last 12 months.
I think also what I didn't realize is that makes a huge difference is seasons for us. Because in Dubai, it's seasonal, but it's still warm and sunny every day with long, long, long days. You can exercise 365 days of the year without any issue outside. And what the difference for us is, we were waking up at 4:30 in the morning and doing like a 20-minute kind of high intensity kettlebell workout, and body weight exercises together, and then kind of doing journaling. We were doing some meditation, reading. We were in a really good routine, but I think those were kind of in the spring, summer months. And then when winter came, we had to switch it up because we were really struggling to wake up. And actually it kind of was like, actually, we should be okay with that and accept that we don't need to wake up as early. And there are other ways to get our, movement in. So we were doing more walking. I tried to focus more on my yoga at home instead of the running, because I was really enjoying running. And I run to work like twice a week, which I stopped on Christmas Eve, and I haven't run since Christmas Eve until yesterday, which was amazing. So for those kind of winter months, I focused on yoga and walking. And now it's a little bit warmer and sunnier. I feel like, oh yeah, it's time for me to get back into that kind of routine of running to work twice a week, because it's a good 6 mile, 1 hour journey to work. I put my podcasts on and kind of educate myself, get my exercise in, and it's my commute. You know, I always say on Instagram, it's my 3-in-1 part of the day. So, you know, the seasonal changes have been quite a big difference. But I think for me, like, it shouldn't be the guilt that we're not doing what we did before, or not being consistent, because I'm always going on about consistency in my life, and I like to strive for it because I feel like it's something I need to work on. But actually, I've realized that accepting that it's okay that seasonal changes make a difference to what you do and how you do it. But as long as all the concepts are still there in terms of your own health and well-being, you just need to kind of push through and kind of keep going for your mental health, as well as, you know, like your general well-being.
There's two things that you guys said that I wanted to pick up on. So the first thing is what you said, Sanjay, about, you know, it's what you do most of the time. And I think this is such an important concept for us to all grasp. It's like, we know it, right? But as healthcare professionals, we often sit there in the space of, I know what to tell other people to do, but I can't seem to do it myself, right? Not everyone, you know, is going to go out and do a run. Not everyone is going to be able to, you know, to prioritize their nutrition. You know, we've got to build up towards that, right? And it's like it doesn't happen overnight, but it's taking those steps and also connecting them to with positive feelings, right? Like as hard as it is for us to do the exercise, if we focus on what it makes us feel like afterwards, you know,
and I think what's important,
we can incorporate it much more easily.
Absolutely. And you nailed it there. And I think what's important to understand is, talking about exercise, the feeling and the emotion that you get, the benefits you get from it. I think it's important to say that in order to get the benefits of exercise, you don't have to do exercise, right? And it's important that we define what we mean here, right? So exercise is a subcategory of what we call physical activity. And physical activity is any movement that is created that by skeletal muscle that requires energy and expenditure. Whereas exercise is a subcategory of that, where it's a specific amount of time where you dedicate to nothing but improving your health and fitness, right? So if I go out for a run, for example, not running to work. So this is a clear definition. So if I just go for a run, just to go for a run's sake, run around the park and come back, I'm going to exercise. I'm doing nothing else with that time. Well, I might be listening to a podcast or whatever, but I'm trying to improve my health and fitness. If I was going to walk Liliana to school, well, that's physical activity, but I could choose to drive to school, but I could also choose to walk. And if I walk, the purpose is to get her to school. It's a commute, right? But at the same time, I'm doing something physically active. So I'm also, if you want to call it exercise, I'm doing exercise. So I think in order to get the benefits, you don't need to be running. You don't need to be having the luxury of having kettlebells in your house, or you don't need to be doing this. And exactly what you said, it's the things that you do most of the time. So if you're in a job where you're sitting down, which most people are if they're working at home at the moment, stand. Just stand for a few moments a day. For every hour of sitting, get up and walk around for 2 minutes. So try to create.
For pharmacy, if you're working in a community pharmacy, and you stood up all day, you've got to take the time to sit down.
Yes, it's the opposite is true there, right? So we don't want to be doing too much of one thing. It's too much of anything is bad for us, right? So absolutely right. So it's a transition. So it's what you're doing in most of the time. So I think that's where people, healthcare professionals and everyone else, is where a lot of people fail with these. And I often relate to what we've just experienced in January, right? And this January might be different, but every January, 1st of January, right, that's it. It's 100% perfection, And this is the funniest. This is the most craziest thing about it, right? I say we. I'm talking about myself here, but I'm sure other people relate here. We come from a time in December where we do nothing, right? I do nothing, right? It gets to 15th of December and that's it, clocked out. It's Christmas. And for 2 weeks, I enjoy, I let myself eat, I let myself drink, I let myself, not exercise as much, and I enjoy myself. And then suddenly 1st of January comes and bang, I've got to go every single day, no sugar, no junk food, no alcohol, exercise every day, 0 to 100. It's not feasible. And then we put these big expectations on ourselves that we have to do this every day. We miss one day, right? We break the chain one day, and it's like,
That's it. We failed.
I'm rubbish. I'm useless. I can't do this. I'm a terrible person. Beat ourselves up. Forget it. I might as well just go back to how I was. And it's not that.
Dive straight into those sweets.
Yeah, it's not perfection. Look, if we were talking about doing something every single day, right? We're talking about 7 out of 7. So in order to reach my goal, I've got to do something 7 times out of 7. Well, you guys are academics here, so you've all done lots of exams and lots of tests in your life. Have you ever sat an exam where the pass mark is 100%?
Yeah, calculations. Don't want to kill anyone.
No, but when you do your exam, the pass mark is 100%. You can make a couple of mistakes, right? Even when you take a driving test, you can make a couple of mistakes. Yeah. But we put that expectation on ourselves. We know today, and if I don't, I'm a terrible person. Well, no, it's not. It's look at what you do most of the time. And if you can tick, 4, even if it's 3, if you're starting from a place of 0, I'm doing this 0. I'm eating 0 vegetables, right? Let's change the subject from movement. I'm eating 0 vegetables. Okay, well, can I eat 1 today? Maybe I can eat 1 tomorrow. Maybe I can have a day off on Wednesday. Maybe I can have 1 again on Thursday. And it's that kind of momentum that you need to start. And I think, as parents, we know this with children, right? We wouldn't, we gradually layer on their learning and build it. You wouldn't just go straight to the hardest level. So I think it's the same for us. We just need to start building these things. And as you said, can we make it a part of what we're doing in our day-to-day lives? Can we make it so it's not an effort, right? Going to the gym may sound like an effort to a lot of people. Going, I haven't got time. Right? Time's another obstacle. I haven't got time. Okay, great. Well, can I break up my day? Can I find the time? What am I doing? What am I doing when the kettle's boiling? Sitting around, just waiting for it. Okay, well, can I do something then that's going to be productive?
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do stretches.
Do a stretch. Perfect. That's brilliant. Do a stretch. Do a few squats. Walk up and down your stairs. Whatever it might be. But it's those little things that, and they're the things that are going to add up to what we're doing majority of the time. And then what happens is you start to, again, these are the intangibles, right? It's the small things that you don't really feel the difference. You think, well, I've eaten a carrot, so what? It doesn't really, I don't feel any different. But it's the continuous eating that carrot over days, weeks, months, years that we reap the benefits. And when we think about the opposite of what a carrot might represent in this example, might be a chocolate bar, right? Well, when I take that chocolate bar, straight away I feel, oh, this chocolate bar is great, because I felt a benefit from it. Whereas the healthy and the wellness stuff, that takes a little bit of time. And I think that's the second thing, is giving ourselves time. We know that
important point.
Every good habit, any habit, good or bad, has developed because of time, right? And I think that's something that we don't allow ourselves.
We do this with parenting, with Lily, in terms of food as well. Like, started off with quite low expectations of her trying little bits of kind of vegetables here and there, or hiding them in food, and then letting her know that it was in there because she didn't want to try it before. And now she gets a star every day if she has vegetables in her diet. And she actively wants to get these stars. She wants to be rewarded, and it's a great system. And every day she's hitting that vegetable star because she is incorporating, certain foods into her diet. Even if her snack is basically just peppers sliced, or a whole carrot, sometimes she eats. We're giving her that star just to encourage it, and hopefully that habit will just stay with her, and she'll appreciate how much it's useful. And we do actually talk about the benefits of individual vegetables, like what they contain, like vitamin C, what it's good for, all of the, what iron does, how you get your energy. Like I've told her how her hair's been growing because she's having good nutrition, and she's really she's like, oh, okay, great, like I should eat more. And she's only 3, bless her. Yeah. But actually I can see that the habits are slowly forming into her daily routine. And we just need to encourage it, and as time goes by, it will improve. So it's not just us as adults.
I always tell my kids about how when they eat their vegetables, they can turn into Hulk. They can be the Incredible Hulk. That's why he's green, because he eats all his vegetables.
Exactly. Who did we bring up? Which character was it? The spinach eating guy.
Popeye.
Yeah.
Popeye.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, it works with children, but there's no reason why it doesn't work for us, right? And I think this is what, again, as adults, we think, this is what we do with kids, but the same principles apply to us in that in the time thing. I think, you look at, just look at what we're still, how many years have we been trying to get her to brush her teeth without us asking it, right?
Yeah, it takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
But we're not bothered about it, because I know that I'm going to do it every day, and every day I do. Hey, Lily, have you brushed your teeth? And it's like, oh, come on, let's go and brush your teeth. Eventually, she's going to get it, and it's only because we've taken 3, 4, however many years it's going to be of reminding her every single day, and then eventually it's going to clock, and then she won't need us reminding her, hopefully, in 20 years' time, right? And that's because it's born out of time. So any habits people want to start to develop out there, anything that they want to start to do, allow yourself the time. I think we're in this, we talk about it all the time, this instant culture where we want everything now. And I think we have to just remember our brains are thousands and thousands of years old. We were probably still evolving, but very, very, very slowly compared to what it was before. And everything else around us is evolving much faster, right? So technology is evolving a lot quicker than our brains. So what we're seeing with what we're experiencing with our lives with technology is not something we can just apply in our body. We don't have microchips in our head yet. So until that day comes, we have to still work like the animals and the mammals that we are, and give ourselves the time.
Yeah. It's also about trial and error as well, because the same thing doesn't work for everybody. We've tried lots of different things. Like, remember Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's alphabet chart that he gets you to print out, and within a month you have to eat different fruits and vegetables, or from obviously the alphabet. And we printed it, and we tried it, and we did so well. I was really I surprised myself, because I feel like, I'm not eating enough vegetables or fruits. And when we finished that, and I visually saw that chart and how much we had eaten within 30 days, it was incredible. And Lily was with us the whole way. And this is back when she was only like a year and a half old. So there are lots of different strategies out there that people can try. But I think it's just a case of trying lots of different things to figure out what works for you. Again,
it's the same sort of approach with a child, right? You expose them to different things, and you trial. I think the other thing you mentioned about kids, which you kind of mentioned there, which we did with the chart, was tracking. And I think we give Lily stars, and she can see how many stars she gets. I think as adults, something I've always done, and I've just done it, and I wasn't doing it for this purpose, but I always tracked my workouts.
Yeah.
And everything I would do, I'd write it down in a book. And more recently, I've changed to just tracking, and this is because of the lockdown. I was tracking, just little things like, have I done my mindfulness today? Have I drank my water today? Because when I was on pre-lockdown, my life I had this routine where water was just part of my flow of the day, right? The way I would work, whereas that completely changed when we start working from home. So yes, have I had my water today? Have I done my movement goals today? And I use movement because if I've just done a 5-minute stretch, I can tick that box, right? So when I have a movement, if it says movement, as long as I've done something, right? And I think this is where I'm not being too harsh. It's not, I didn't do a workout today, so it doesn't count. No. Did I go for a walk? Yes. Did I do a stretch? Yes. Did I walk Lily to school? Yes. Well, I've hit my movement goals and I've done something. You could make it more elaborate, have step counts, whatever it is. But I think those small things that you track, where that comes in really, really helpful is with motivation, because we've all been into that place where you've been doing something for a while and then the motivation just goes and you just think, I just don't know if it's worth doing it anymore. I'm not really getting anywhere. And you just think, no. And then if you actually look back at what you have actually achieved, if you have those ticks and you have those workouts, you have whatever it is, and you can see, hold a minute, you've done so much. Look at what you've achieved. You've done all of that, which is, a lot more than not doing it. So just don't. It's about self-motivation, right? We all want to be able to motivate ourselves. Well, if you can have that as a way of reminding yourself, hey, I'm doing really well here, just like you would with a child, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's something that we can all start to do. And I've started to do more of it because I've just noticed the benefits of doing it, because it just helps me feel like, hey, do you know what? Yeah, I'm moving forward, I'm progressing. And even for us.
I always talk about this concept of comparing yourself to yourself.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's so easy to see what everyone else is putting out there and what everyone's saying you have to do and you should do. And really it's about you firstly stepping back, identifying where can I make the changes in my lifestyle, and that's you tracking your lifestyle and saying, right, this is where I spend most of my time. what am I doing with that time? Like if it's at work or if it's not at work, well, what am I actually doing with that time? How am I spending that time? And then it's you saying, right, how can I mix this up and make it fun for myself, right?
Yeah.
How can I mix it up, make it fun for myself? And then I will circle back, check and see how it's been going for the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, for a month, however long you want to track it over. And then say, is this working? Is it not working? If it's not working, how am I going to change it up? And that always, I find, and I write it down. I've got a journal that I write it in as well. And I always find that that's, like you said, it's such a powerful motivational tool for yourself because you've seen how you've changed over time. And that I feel as healthcare professionals, we don't really do that enough for ourselves.
Not at all.
You know, in fact, if at all, we don't do that. We don't. And it comes back to this point of like, if we want to be able to support others, we've got to support ourselves, right? And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we actually take the time to self-evaluate. And it's not about how much is up here and how much knowledge you've got, right? But it's about how much are you spending time on yourself. And it's not a selfish act. It's not you kind of going off and saying, I'm going off to the spa for the day, right? It's really about those small habits that we've been talking about, those small changes that we've been talking about, what you do most of the time, you know, that is going to have that compound effect in the long term. And it's going to make you a better professional because you're living and breathing what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's really important. I think, you know, I think now more than ever, you know, I know it can be difficult because, you know, we've got so many pressures coming to us from so many different places, but it's actually more important for us to prioritize our own well-being so that we can be there for others, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, as pharmacists, think about, you know, I always use this analogy of a prescription, right? You give patients medication and it has they have a prescription. And on that prescription, when they wake up in the morning, they have a piece of paper or whatever it might be that tells them exactly what they need to do, right? It tells them exactly what, there's no blurring of the lines. It's like, take 2 of these today with food, take it for 5 days, you're good to go, right? Where is your prescription for life? Right? Where are you? We should be all waking up in the morning with a piece of paper that tells you, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to do it. This is where you need to do it. This is how you're going to do it. Not, oh, today I'm going to try and be healthy. Or today, I'm going to try and do a bit of exercise. No, that's like having a prescription that says, take more pills. I'd be horrified if someone gave me a prescription that said take more pills. But I don't know what to do with that, right? We wouldn't do that with a prescription, so we shouldn't do that to ourselves. So that's where those building up those, you mentioned that compound interest that we're going to get. It's those small things. Well, what is the small thing that I can do today? And write it down in that way and have it as like a prescription. So, you know, so when you wake up in the morning, there's no guesswork. It's no, it says move more. What does that mean? I'll wave my arms around today. No, I'm going to go for a walk at 3:00 in the park for 10 minutes. Okay, when are you going to do that? I'm going to do that on Monday. I'm going to do that on Wednesday. I'm going to do that on Friday. Okay, brilliant. Now you've got a prescription. Now you know what to do. You give that piece of paper to someone else, they would also know what to do. So I think just giving, if we're going to use the healthcare analogies, I think that prescription analogy of having your life prescription is a great place to start. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? It can be something very, very simple.
I think also mindset is really important as well, because when you talk about kind of self-motivation, you have to think, I mean, James Clear explains it a lot better than me, and maybe you can help me out, but you have to think like the person that you want to
identity.
Yeah, your identity, whatever you want to identify with, tell that to yourself. So I am a healthy person, not telling yourself I'm going to be healthy today. No, you are healthy today. Or you are a healthy person. Yeah. So that small shift in mindset is really, really helpful. And I mean that book is excellent. I have to read it again actually, because there's so many good points in there.
The mindset thing, there's a great smoking analogy, the smoking example with that, right?
Yeah.
And when you ask two smokers, I think it's a line from his book actually. So I'm stealing this from James. So, but you know, you ask two smokers, would you like a cigarette? Or and these both the smokers are trying to give up. They've given up a cigarette. You ask one smoker, would you like a cigarette? And he or she says, no, thank you, I'm trying to quit. And the other person who you offer a cigarette to, they say, no, thanks, I don't smoke.
Yeah.
Now, two very different answers. Two people that just gave up smoking yesterday. One person has already said in their mind, I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
So just the fact that they've gone one day without having a cigarette, they are not a smoker. And that's exactly the mentality you should have. Whereas the other person is saying, no, thank you, I'm trying to quit. They're still identifying themselves as a smoker. I'm still a smoker who's trying to quit. So that's the kind of, I think that's what you're talking about with that mindset shift, is just celebrating any small acts towards that person you want to become as a win. Yeah, I went for a run today and I jogged at 1.5 miles an hour. I'm a runner, right?
Yeah.
I did a push up today. I'm somebody that works out. I think that it does work.
It really does. It does.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It is all about that mindset. I'm so glad that you raised that, actually, Anisha, because it is about your own identity. What are you identifying yourself as?
Yeah.
You know,
and write it down as well.
Yes.
I find, I wrote it down in my journal, and actually then when I read it on paper, I'm very visual though. I'm a very visual person. So when I see it, I think, oh yeah, you know what? You're right. I mean, how many times have I done stuff where I'm just, I say something strange, or Sanj thinks that I'm saying something strange because he's like, duh, you've been doing that for ages and you just figured it out like months and months later, because I've done something as easy as writing it down and visualizing it and seeing it.
But this comes back to awareness, right?
Yeah.
This is the
Every
example, right?
time.
And this is what Kamal was saying about tracking and writing things down, to become aware, because you don't know what you do, right? You mentioned as healthcare professionals, we're busy people, we're looking after other people, we're caring for others, and we've got empathetic hearts, and I think that the country definitely needs more people like that. However, we don't know what we are doing, right? And it's that awareness, and what all that you've done, and all I've done to help you is just make you aware. Hey, do you know what? You do this thing and it's amazing. You're like, no, I didn't know that. And when you actually start tracking, you're like, oh, actually, yeah, you're right. This is quite a good thing that I do, isn't it? But because you don't know, we don't know what we do. If I ask all of you today, right now, what did you have for breakfast yesterday? It'll take us a minute to think about it, right? It would take us a moment to think about it. But if you had it written down, you would know straight away, and you go, oh yeah, look, didn't realize I had marmalade for breakfast. I don't normally have marmalade, but I had it yesterday, right? So by tracking and making ourselves aware, because without awareness, you have no change. Right? And this is something that everyone talks about, and it's on all the podcasts, but it's true, right? If you don't know that it's raining outside, you're going to get wet. If you just figure out if you just look out the window, you raise your awareness that, hey, oh, look, it's raining. You can stop yourself from getting wet. And that can apply in anything. If you don't know certain foods are harming our health, well, then you can't change it. You don't know how to change it. You need to raise that awareness. If you're not aware that you're actually very sedentary, oh, well, okay, I didn't realize. Now I can maybe do something about it. So, I think that is where we have to be careful of not being too self-critical. It's not about going, writing a food diary and going, look at what a bad person I am. I had a bar of chocolate. No, it's not about that. It's like, okay, right. So I had a chocolate at this time of day. Okay, fine. Make a note of it. And then you can go after and analyze what made me have it. What was the emotions at the time? You can go into all that, but just make yourself aware, because once you know, okay, this is my baseline. This is where I am. Okay, this is where I need to get to. Now I can map out a path of how I need to get there.
And this applies in work, by the way, for all the pharmacists out there, because when I started my new job at Evelina, I'm doing 1 day at King's, 2 days of formulary, 1 day of palliative care, and 1 day as the lead for general medicine. That's my job. And I always said to my chief, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to manage my time? So I told her, look, you know what? I'm going to write a diary of every single hour of every single day that I'm at work. And I'm going to calculate how many hours I do for each area. I expect to do 15 hours of formulary every week. I expect to do 7.5 hours of palliative care. And every day at the end of the day, I quickly write it down. And it's just in a Word document. I have a little diary. And then I calculate how many hours each week that I've done. And it's really, really motivating. I can see what I'm doing. I can see where I'm achieving. I can see that, actually this week palliative care was really quiet, so I better pick up next week on things that I should have done. But obviously in the work environment, especially in a hospital, like things come up, like palliative patients come up at any time. So if you end up doing loads of palliative care patients in 1 week and then the next week there's not that many, where can you fit in other workload? But that visualization and writing things down has been really helpful for me, and it's something that I've learned by chance, that has really guided me in terms of what I do on a day-to-day basis. And it's genuinely really, really motivating to see how I'm progressing in my job as well. I
absolutely love everything that you guys have talked about today. Of time, because I don't, we could chat for ages, to be honest.
I know.
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm so grateful to every single person who has listened in, because I hope that you guys have got some real gems from Sanjay and Anisha in terms of, things that you can take away and really start to implement for yourself. If that's just observation, or that's just, moving, changing things about in terms of your movement in the day, or, if it's just, making a list, right? These are all steps that we can take towards improving our own wellness. And by doing so, I 100% believe that we become better professionals, So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. We have a couple of questions, if you're okay to just
sure
for a minute, and let's see if we can answer them. Darshan's talking about, do you think pharmacy students are more aware of current diverse roles than maybe we were whilst we were students? Well, I suppose that's what you're trying to do with your
diaries. That's exactly what I'm trying to achieve with Pharmacist Diaries as a podcast, because I was teaching the undergraduate students. I'm now with a postgrad team, but when I came back to the UK, joined KCL, I realized that actually pharmacy students are not necessarily aware of all the roles that are available to them when they do graduate. And I created this podcast because it was a great platform that was easy, accessible. You could listen to it on your way to work, or, on a weekend when you're doing the Hoover, I listen to my podcast. So, it's an easy platform for people to actually be educated and be more aware, find out how people have changed into different roles and why they've done it, what kind of skills they've learned, and just inspire you to try and think, actually, I've been in my role for a really long time, and I really feel like a change, and this is how I'm going to try and get there. So I definitely think we have a lot of work to do in terms of increasing the awareness for pharmacy students. But personally, I'm using the podcast as a platform to do that.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kamal. Thanks very much for having us on. I really enjoying your show and what you're doing. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm loving the content that you're putting out there. So thank you to you
so much. I really appreciate it. And of course, guys, do listen to Sanjay and Anisha's podcast. They're brilliant. They both interview amazing people. And, it's like a really great combination, because Anisha's talking to pharmacists and their careers and the careers that they've developed over years, some of them, and Sanjay's talking about, health and wellness. And so they're great podcast to go and listen to. So do go and check them out. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks
to everyone that's been listening in as well. I will see you guys soon.
Thank you. Bye everyone.
Bye. So that was Sanjay and Anisha. Thank you guys so much for listening in today. I know today's live show has been a bit longer than we normally would have, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion that we've been having. And of course, if you are stuck in your career and you need some support, then do reach out to me, drop me a DM. I would be more than happy to support you in helping you to reinvent your career and really get that clarity, get that confidence up, and start moving towards what you are going to do that is going to be fulfilled. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you back here again, 8 o'clock Wednesday, when it will be back to the Happy Healthcare Professionals live show. Bye.